your girl, illy Cartier. Best designer alive is the best designer died. I'm already here. You already know the icons. Wait, hey, check my bag out there. Swag bag.
Illy, you started out as an MC in a time when women in hip hop continued to fight for space and visibility. What were some of the ways you overcame some of those challenges so that you could have a seat at the table?
I think I switched up my aspect of telling my story. Instead of telling it from the female perspective, I think I told the story from the male perspective. Okay. And that made me earn a little bit respect more, because it's more so like I didn't like make myself a sex symbol, if that made sense. I feel like back then it wasn't really cool to be a sex symbol, and a lot of women was coming out after the Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill stage. Right. They was coming out, and I love Lil' Kim, but it was more so coming out pushing the agenda that female had to sell sex. And I feel like the woman was not adapting to that, so maybe females that was selling sex, they was getting like partial fans, only the male fans. So I started to tell my story from the male perspective, and I just thought like I just became the best friend, right? I just was telling the story like how everybody wanted to hear it. So I would tell the story where a female could relate to it and a male could relate to it, but I kind of like always told it from the male perspective.
Okay. Well, what moment did you realize that your path might involve more than just music?
I would say the moment that I realized I was in poverty, right? Like I think as being young and being like African American and coming from like Chocolate City, I think our parents been as though Chocolate City, I feel like it's the midway where the slaves respected as being free land, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so in that era, it almost made it seem like if black people just survived, they was rich. And I feel like my grandmother did a good job of making us feel like that we wasn't poor, right? But I realized that I was in poverty when I couldn't just get the things that I wanted to get, and I wanted to be different. So that's when I realized, like, I started to career to like the fashion lane. I started to realize I wanted to be different. And I was like, how am I gonna be able to make myself different when I was transitioning from the fact that I thought I was rich. My grandma made it. She made it look good, but it was like for all of us, though, right? Like, yeah.
Well, that generation knew how to do that. They did it in love, and you saw the fight and the struggle in them, and they kept going. You mentioning segueing into the fashion lane, you wear many hats: an MC, a filmmaker, fashion designer. How did you take these different artistic identities where you have now emerged into who you are today, and how did you figure out how to balance it?
I would say I'm still figuring out how to balance it, right? And I think the credit to overall balancing, I think I'm gonna get credit to my sign because I'm a Libra, right? So the scale is what plays a big role. And I think I started to approach everything, every talent that I had, like a conversation, right? So fashion was a conversation, music was a conversation, film was a conversation,
yeah.
And then I put every fan to the point where when I talk to that fan, if I want to talk about fashion, I always made sure I reflected on that conversation that I wanted them to have with me, so they could always go back whenever they want to have that conversation about fashion or that conversation about music. They always reflect back on me, and I try to provide that platform of like just many conversations. I feel like I became the telephone, right? Like
you're like, this is Illy, the fashion designer. This is Illy, the filmmaker.
Yeah, for sure. And when they just want to have that conversation, it just always went back to the fact, like, when I want to think about fashion and somebody had that fashion conversation with me, whenever they question it, they always think like, man, let me get on the phone and call Illy, because they remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Or when they came to music, they be like, let me get on the phone and call Illy, because they remember them conversations. So I always try to base everything on a conversation, right? Because that's the biggest thing.
And you know, it's crazy because we were at 5 Mics together, shout out 5 Mics in Los Angeles, and you held your own in a space that was predominantly male. And it was like you were the queen and everyone was just kind of flocking around, and you just stood and in confidence and presence. But there were some thorough MCs and producers there that night. And then when you freestyled, I was like, whoa, I gotta get her. Can we talk a little bit about how that sometimes feels when you're in those rooms and settings like that.
That's honestly the first time I've ever been in that setting where it been predominantly male MCs that are known to be legends in the game. Usually I kind of like, when, I'm always attracted to the older crowd, but it's always older females, right? Because they always feel like I remind them of them.
Yeah.
And they kind of give me the motherly instinct. But I've never been, these are guys is like, I came up on like Lex Coosterbeam was in the bands. Like I came up on crate. I'm a crate baby. That's crazy. People say crack baby. Crate baby. I'm a crate baby. So I came up off the vinyls, the cassette tapes.
Yeah.
So it was people in there that, not saying I didn't do my due diligence. I knew the songs, but once they started performing, I was like, oh. But it triggered me because, in a good way, because I'm working on a project, right, and it's based on cassettes, and I'm hearing these sounds and I'm wondering why, like, why I never got my accolades in the past of the music industry, because I was in there with the younger generation and they didn't understand where I was coming from or the frequency I was on. But being in that room,
you were ahead of your time.
Yeah, they made me feel like, even though everybody was in there probably like at least 20 years older than me, I feel like I was at home. It reminded me when I was like 7 or 8 when I first started rapping. I was like, oh, these the people I supposed to been around. Like, yeah.
That night, wasn't that night
Nah,
just
it was
crazy?
Dope. It was dope.
It was
Nah, that was history for real. It was like unsung underground.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then when Kwame came out in that new joint, it was
and Kwame was in there looking like he about 32. I don't know what they be drinking with him and Pharrell. I don't know what type of water they be drinking, man. I need this. That's some other kind of water.
That you. Well, you know, going to your style and your persona are very distinct. What does fashion assassin represent to you?
I feel like I'm a sneaky attacker when it comes to fashion, right? Like, cause you got some people in the fashion industry like how Ye is. When you step out, you just be like, I know he just about to wear I just know it's gonna be crazy. But with me, it's like you just don't know what I'm gonna wear. You never know. Right? It's definitely going to fulfill the times of the room. But how I'm a mixer, you never know. I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest with you. It might be some days I'll be like, all right, I might change my clothes and midway on the way to the event in the car and be like, yeah, or ride past a stand or a thrift store and have to take a quick break and I'll grab something off and be like,
I need that.
Nah, people always be like, it's funny because my cousins always describe me when I get dressed. They always be like, I look in the mirror and I be like, I missed the spot. And they like, I just gotta add something else. It's like, no matter, it's never complete. Yep. So it's like, yep.
Yeah, I peeped that game, and even when I was preparing for you, I was excited to see, you know, what look you were coming with. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a creative, an artist, and a woman is that we can be the wild card. So long as we have the confidence and the mindset to wear it, it's all good.
Yeah. It's all about your confidence, because I feel like some stuff that I wear, I probably could lay it out on the bed and somebody be like, but I'd be like, I don't know, I don't see stuff like that. Like I'm kind of like, you remember that old Jay-Z commercial? I think it was like a telephone commercial, or it was like a computer commercial, and you only seen his hands, and he was moving just his hands, but you heard his voice. So that's how I kind of look at fashion. Like I could go in the store, or I could go in the fashion fabric store, and the way that I see pieces is different. They in the air. Like that's how I create. And I literally could grab it and put it together in my mind, and right here, and then I go like that, and then I could put it on. But it be all right here, like no matter how it represents interior design, anything, it's like it's all right here, and I'm just pulling the elements, and then I put it together. Like everything that I do is kind of like that.
Well, speaking of fashion, you got one of your pieces right next to you. Can we pull it on into the camera and let them see, and let's talk about this evolution? So
this is the infamous swag bag. I feel like it's crazy, like, because the whole time I was doing music and I was just fly, everybody used to be always like, focus on the fashion before they heard the music, right? And I never thought it would be one. People used to say, man, fashion is what's gonna kick the door in for you. And I was like, man, whatever, I rap better than I dress. Because dressing was just so easy, and I feel like rapping was a skill that I had to perfect. So when I created this, it was like, yeah, it's just a book bag. To this day, I kind of honestly, it's kind of like, honestly, I think I'm still in denial about this invention, right? Because other people sitting there like, oh, it does so much. And with me, it's like, yeah, it's a book bag. Fabulous. So it's a book bag that has the hood to it. Yeah, it's a detachable hoodie.
Wow.
So the brand is called Build a Bag, and then everything about the bag comes apart, right? So you could, if I wanted to take this off and I wanted to add a black piece to it, I could. If I wanted to take the middle out, I could add a black piece to the middle, or I could make it bigger and I can make it a duffel bag.
Wow.
So I really feel like this probably is a signature piece for me now because the bag has evolved like I've been evolving. So every like different sport that I'm getting into, whether it's tennis, baseball, I'm learning how to convert different things into the bag. The bag is just evolving, and the bag makes me look at it and makes me see like how I'm turning out, like how I'm reframing myself. So, and when I want to start over in life, I feel like I just take the bag apart and I just start over.
Do another version of it.
Bag. Yep.
It is so dope. And you know, I saw you that night. You didn't come out without your signature, signature bag. And it was repping all the way.
And I feel like the hood, I like the hood. Like, it's like what I say, the fashion assassin. It's funny how I got that name, for real talk, because I always just go around and be like, man, I'm the best rapper alive since the best rapper died. Or I'm the best designer alive since the best designer died. And one day, we was in Hawaii, right, me and my brother. Like, that was our first time in Hawaii. And Hawaii is very expensive, by the way. But we ended up going out there, and we end up, it was with an artist called Nomad, right? And they're originally from Hawaii. He was giving back to his roots, and we ended up being at a Lil Wayne. Like Lil Wayne random. This is random. Lil Wayne ended up being out there, and I'm always like, yeah, I'm the best rapper alive since the best rapper died. He's still alive. So like how I say this to Lil Wayne, it's like, but me, I like, man, I'm set forever. So we met his drummer, right, and his drummer name was J.O., and he did the video with me. I think he's so aware that I say that, right, and for him to have to be in the video with me saying that, it would probably have been odd. So he was like, yeah, Illy Cartier is like the fashion assassin. Like he kind of like filled that in, and I was like, yeah, bro, I am the fashion assassin. I was like, oh, bet. I was like, all right, so now I don't got security no more, I got swag protectors. So we was joking. I was like, all right, so that's like honestly how I got the name. Like, shout out Yayo, because he definitely gave me the
shout out.
the drama for sure.
Got the nickname from Lil Wayne.
Yeah, that was a dope name. Yep.
So your music and fashion both seem to carry themes of confidence, transformation, and self-determination. What messages are you most intentional about communicating through your work in this season of your life?
I would say never give up. Right? I'm so resilient when it comes to like failure, right? I think my biggest fear is ending up a used to be, like a playground legend, like. But
can there really be a playground legend? That's one of the things that, you know, I always talk about in terms of hip hop. They want to lay hip hop out to pasture by a certain age, but the rock stars and the country singers don't, retire?
Facts.
So why is it that hip hop is like that?
I think because, how can I break this down? When you're an older artist, right, and you came up in a generation where you maybe only had venues that was 500, 600, and 700 people, and that was your super venues, but then rock and pop, they super venues, even in the 70s and 80s, has always been in the 1,000. I think we're immune to thinking that we have smaller audiences. So when you get older, the younger generation will cater to the 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 venues. So now we feel like we have to cater to that younger generation in order to get into those bigger venues. I think it's a mindset. And two people really start throwing, like how Monica and Brandy just did, right? The super concerts that shows the older.
Just dropped.
Right. Rock the Bells, right.
Yeah, I mean.
But I give credit to Versus kind of like for triggering all this.
The pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic.
The pandemic brought the old legends out, and the crate babies.
The crate babies, no, for sure, because I think back then people would book an older artist and they might give them $2,000, $3,000, and then it's like a set of like 500 people. They never thought like it's 50,000 people that still want to see these people. So I feel like we always cater to the younger generation because they just had the bigger crowd, and now we're just knowing who our crowd is. I think we're learning because hip hop is still so young that we're trying to learn. We're trying to elevate off basically of the transition of how we're going into like our age group and just bridging the gap between the younger generation and the older generation. Like, that's what I think it is.
And in one of my Eric Sermon interviews, he talked about that people aren't buying a lot of the new stuff unless it's Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole, that they don't want to bring that home. They want to bring home what the crate babies listen
Nah,
to.
for sure. And I think the older generation, for me, why I like it so much is that they still respected the females.
Yeah.
Right, you still had, maybe everybody did, and even if they didn't, we had to read between the lines. Like, this is talking about sex. We ain't really know. When Marvin Gaye was like, "Let's get it on," I was like, "Yeah, I ain't know get it on, man, for real." Right? But now they're so blatant with it, and now they teach the men to disrespect the females, right? And I think that's why Drake kind of got so far in the industry, because he didn't come out like that. He kind of came out respecting females, so anybody that aligned with him, even with Kendrick Lamar, I think he'd go well because the female basically controls the industry, and I feel like just the respect. So when you did ask me that question, I feel like about my goal, it is like, it's more like targeting where we're going as far as the females, the younger females, and who are they role models, right? And I don't like to knock any artist that's in the industry because I can't control their creativity and what they put out, but I feel like if I sat back and I was a mother or aunt or grandma, right? And I want to say, and let's say I got a little kid from 5 years old to 17 years old with me, and I want to be able to ride in my car and put something on and listen to who do I feel comfortable listening to music with? None of them.
Right.
None of them. I wouldn't dare put none of them in my car.
You're going to put some Moni Love, you're going
Janelle Monáe, but hip hop wise, it's just like, and not saying that the girls aren't out there. They're not putting them to our face where we can actually see them and have something to pick from. So it's like now that they didn't mess around and like let me kick the door in, like, oh yeah, like yeah, that's what I'm on.
That's it.
Yeah, I take responsibility.
So as you stand today, what's the next evolution of your creativity? And are there any collaborations or long-term projects you're dreaming about in music, fashion, and film that you're ready to kind of step into?
One thing that I've always wanted to do that I've kind of like been working on my own is like a biopic. And it's crazy because when I first mentioned it to somebody, I had somebody made a comment like, a biopic, who you think, Tupac? And I was like, Tupac was only signed for 1 year. So that means he impacted all these people in 12 months that made them want to hear about the rest of his life. I was like, you know what I've been doing for the last 30 years of my life? You think somebody don't want to hear all 36 stories? Like, that's my biggest thing. I feel like people don't know my story. I have bits and pieces where people see the designer or they see the rapper or they see the philanthropist, but they don't really know like how did I start. Like as a little girl, like what made me into this person. And I feel like that's the biggest thing, like dropping my movie, but independent though. I don't want to do no major. I want to go on tour like with movie theaters and drop my own movie. That and more so getting more people to understand like I'm more like an inventor. Like I like the title like fashion designer and rapper, but it's like I'm trying to be like Albert Einstein, right? I want people to go back.
You don't know what's gonna come from Cartier next.
I want the kids to go back to their history books and like just like how they look at Albert Einstein or even Steve Urkel, because that's real. It's a real Steve Urkel out here, right? And somebody sitting or Desicc's laboratory, right? Like somebody sitting in their basement and they're like, I'm just this kid that like I feel like I should have went to MIT, Harvard, or Yale, right? I went to A&T. I'm an Aggie baby for sure. But the mindset that I have, if I was around people that knew financial literacy, I would have been able to go to the next level if somebody would have been able to like fund me on the way my brain thinks as a young kid. So now I'm older and I'm trying to go back and teach kids before it get like too late for me not to use all this knowledge. I'm really an inventor. That's what I want to be known for, period. Like, oh, like that's because when I say I'm Albert Einstein, well,
inventor, assassin.
Yeah, Illy Einstein. People like, you think you Albert Einstein? Like I was like, no,
Illy Einstein. I like that.
Yeah. So just like I'm trying to create things that like this bag right here. Right when I first drew it, I think it was like 15, 16 years ago. So I'm always a forward thinker. I don't really say I'm smarter than everybody. I just think ahead of people, right? I think about things that people are going to eventually think about. So I want to be able to continue to get praise for that. The people know like, oh, what's about to be the next flying object or the next big thing that's going to come and change the world. Like I want to be known for like, oh, go ask Illy, like for real, like. So
You know, that might have to be a hashtag. Hashtag go
ask Illy. That's why I hear it loud.
You heard it first here at the Kim Caldwell Show.
Go ask Illy. That's why it's like
hashtag Illy Einstein for you.
Nah, for real. Yup.
And so, you know, what would you like to leave our audience in closing?
I just be like, don't rush the process, trust the process, right? And it's days that I honestly woke up and was like, man, I don't know today, like I don't want to do it no more, right? But and sometimes it might have been my brother or looking at my little cousins or somebody that motivated me, be like, I can't quit because it's somebody else that's like dependent on me to keep going. That last day that you might feel like, and even want to touch on like anxiety, depression, especially what's going on with after the pandemic and people losing their jobs. Like, it's a lot of people that walk around with a smile on their face and they wake up and that could be the last smile you see and you will never know. And the people like, I didn't even know they was thinking like that. Like, now you got to really check in on people and really convince people like that they're loved, and no matter how big you are, what they bring to the table can still change somebody else's life and like add on to their life, right? So the biggest thing I just want to be like don't give up.
Don't give up.
You so close, right? Because like this industry, the world is an entertainment period, right? And you got to just ride the highs of life.
Right.
You just got, everything is like Monopoly. Yep. It's definitely like Monopoly, and you trying to pass this go as many times before you go to jail. Like, it's sad to say like that, but jail is not really like, oh, I'm locked in shackles. It could be a mental shackle. It could be a mental state. So it's just like, man, you just got to keep going. It's just like, I don't care if it don't work because something gonna work. That's just how I feel. Like every day that I wake up, that I could breathe, I was like, oh, I'm about to try this again. What's the worst they can say? It ain't work?
What's the worst they can say?
Like,
well, you know, it's funny because one, I just appreciate that message that you're giving, but also that's who you are to the core. You are a connector and a giver. I realize that in that short amount of time. And if someone, you know, can see it or visualize it, you're with it. If it's artistic and it's part of, you know, bringing goodness into the world. And that's how I remember when you met me and I was like, hi, and you're like, who is this? And I'm all just, you know, taken aback and giddy by the fact that you just stood your ground in, you know, a space of legends, and you were just with it. You were like, yo.
Gotta be. Well, you know you belong. You just gotta know, like, you belong here, right? Like, that's just how I feel. I belong here.
Well, thank you that all that you do for the culture and for the community. We are looking forward to seeing more of your story. So you heard what Illy Einstein said, hashtag ask Illy, don't give up. It's part of the journey. Thank you for joining us and rolling with us. We're in Washington, D.C., Chocolate City.
Hey.